Showing progress in each lesson is beneficial to the student as well as to teachers, and therefore, regardless of the techniques that you use, the aim is to explicitly establish students' starting point to safely determine where the new learning and understanding starts and provide a further endpoint to demonstrate how far their new learning has come. Are you confident with how to show genuine progress of students within your lesson? How are you setting up your lesson to make progress visible to both students and observers? Are you using the data collected from how students are progressing to adapt your teaching and determine the next step in learning for students personally or collectively? Showing progress is something teachers are expected to do, although not overtly taught. How can you, through your pedagogy, demonstrate progress seamlessly whilst focusing on students' learning and outcomes? Let's explore some strategies for showing progress in any given lesson. When teachers are considering showing progress in any lesson, they also need to be very conscious of their need to bridge the gaps in students' learning to get them to the level that they should be and support them with making additional progress. There are so many factors to consider for students underperforming and various measures to address these needs. Some effective strategies used are quality first teaching and effective differentiation, small class teaching and learning with specialized input, one-to-one intervention, motivation, and building learners' confidence, and a wide range of pedagogies. There are several pedagogies that teachers need to utilize in order to support progress, and these also help to support bridging the gaps, and we will explore more of these. The use of a key question is one of the ways in which teachers can demonstrate progress within their lesson. A key question is one that you would expect students to be able to answer after acquiring the new knowledge that is embedded in your learning intention. Using the key question quickly demonstrates if students are able to sufficiently answer the question or not. Using this approach means that teachers need to plan for the next step for those students who are fully capable of answering. This could be moving on to a new learning intention or studying the existing learning intention at a much deeper level. At the end of the episode of learning, students are given the opportunity to answer the question again, and their response is evaluated and used to indicate the level of progress that they have made in that episode of learning. The reason is another strategy that teachers are able to use to show progress in their lesson. This is where students are presented with a scenario or concept, and they need to demonstrate with reason and justification of whether the scenario is true or false. This requires students having a good enough base knowledge to be able to fully rationalize, reason, and justify why the situation is or is not correct. Students are also expected to use academic and subject-specific terminologies or vocabulary in order to verbally articulate their responses. Again, teachers should consider deeper learning to ensure that those who are able to give full comprehension is able to move their learning forwards. Episodic or layered learning is another approach that teachers are able to use to demonstrate progress in every lesson. When teachers break learning intentions into subcategories and use those individual learning episodes to layer learning, this is called episodic or layered learning. This promotes a visible progress that students are making as they advance through the learning episodes. Additionally, teachers are able to quickly assess and intervene where concepts are not acquired. It allows time to fully develop concepts and consolidate them as students add onto their knowledge from previous episodes. This gives students more confidence to challenge themselves and enable them to see the progress that they have made from the start of the learning session unto the very end. An entry starting point activity is a good tool that teachers are able to use to show progress in any lesson. Using an entry starting point activity helps decide on the different groups of learners based off their prior knowledge. This shows what students know and where their areas for development lies. Teachers then provide the differentiated activities for the respective groups of learners. This could be based off the clusters of questions, or the similar skill demands, or the overall score. Teachers then direct the next step for the learning accordingly to ensure that the learning needs of all the students are being met. Student self-assessment is another approach that teachers are able to use to show progress in their lessons. When using self-assessment to show progress, it is important that teachers are clear of the statements that they provide students with and how they should decide on where they position themselves and their achievement. Some people have colored cards on desks and others have colored pages in planners. Students can establish if they could approach the learning from the starting point activity. Then, after the modeling activity, students can decide which of the differentiated activities they will undertake. At the end of that episode of learning, teachers provide students with statements for them to choose from that best describes how they feel about the learning activity. These could be that students do not understand how to, understand some but not all aspects of, understand fully but need to consolidate further, or confident and ready to move forwards. Teachers need to ensure that their plans cater for those respective needs in the next learning episode. The use of criterion and rubric is another way that teachers are able to show progress in each of their lessons. Teachers may provide students with rubric or criteria for the learning outcomes, and students are then able to self-assess using those criteria and rubric and the examples that are provided along with it. The result is then considered and teachers establish which students will undertake which activity based on their rubric responses. Students review these responses as they proceed and update with the progress that they are making. This could be heavy on printing, and as such, an alternative is to have students write down the letters associated with each criterion when they are shown on a screen, and then these are reviewed after each learning episodes. The differentiation need to be embedded in the learning episodes to ensure that students are challenged at the level that is required. Showing progress in each lesson is beneficial to the student as well as to teachers, and therefore, regardless of the techniques that you use, the aim is to explicitly establish students' starting point to safely determine where the new learning and understanding starts and provide a further endpoint to demonstrate how far their new learning has come. This is best shown by tracking small wins and allowing students to visibly see their learning and progress that they're making. How do you show progress in each lesson? Which of these strategies will you be using to show progress or visible learning for your students?